everybody, come on in. Welcome to the Jayda InStitches show. Today on the show, we are making masks. Masks are the fundamental part of any kind of classical theater. You can become anything when you put on a mask. They are great for costumes and cosplay. They are great for goofing around the house, whether you are, a superhero, or you're on your way to a punk rock masquerade ball. Oh yeah, that's where I'm going after this tutorial. But before that, we are going to make ourselves some masks. These are so much fun. You can decorate them any way you like, and you can make them for every single member of the family, no matter who they want to become. So, without further ado, let's rock our way over to the craft table and make some masks. In order to make our face masks, you are going to need some cotton yarn. So I recommend cotton for a couple reasons. A, it washes, and you'll probably get some stuff on it like makeup. B, it's kind of stiff, so it gives you the opportunity to create a slightly stiffer object, and the mask needs to be a little bit stiff. And 3, cotton isn't really that irritable. So acrylic and wool you're going to find might be kind of itchy up against your face, but cotton is a good choice for something that's going to be against your skin. And face skin is particularly sensitive. So you want cotton yarn. This is just cotton crafter yarn. It's worsted weight or a size 4, and that's all you need. Very small amount. This isn't even a full skein, and I'll definitely get more than one face mask out of it. And if you want to make more than one color, then just use some scraps of other cotton that you've got lying around. So a little bit of cotton. If you want to decorate yours like I have, I like to use the crafter cotton, the little craft cotton thread or embroidery floss. You can, string some beads on it, embroider some X's and whatever. These are some flowers that I made. That's also a crocheted flower tutorial. I'll put that in the link box down below. And I made it using a very small hook with the embroidery floss. You can try that if you like. Some beads. It's always good to have some random beads and stuff lying around. If you want to put something funky in the middle like I did, that's just something that used to be on a necklace that I had. So just use objects that you've got lying around in your craft drawer. Nothing super special. You need a pair of scissors, a yarn needle, and today I'm using my favorite, a 4.25 millimeter hook or a G6, and that is a good size to use with a size 4 craft cotton yarn. Once you've got all that, we can get started. To begin our mask, we are going to start by creating the eye sockets. So we're going to start with a slip knot, because we're going to do a bunch of chaining. So create a slip knot and make sure it moves around nice and neatly on your hook. And we're going to begin by chaining. If you're making this for an adult, you're going to chain 22. If you're making this for a child, you're going to chain 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right. Once again, if it's for a child, you want 20. If it's for an adult, you want 22. You're going to take your length of chains, so your foundation chain row, make sure it's not twisted, and you're going to join the first and the last chains together with a slip stitch. There we go. There is eye socket number 1. You can sort of see how it looks like that already. Now we're going to do the bridge. So the bridge is the part that goes over top of the nose. If you're making this for a large adult face, you want to chain 3. If you're making this for a smaller adult face, say my size, you want to chain 2. So that's small faces for adults and teenagers. If you're making it for a little face, anybody under the age of 10, you want to chain 1. So because I'm making an adult size one for myself, I'm going to chain 2. 1, 2. And now you're going to chain what you need for the second eye socket. So if you, again, are making it for a child, you want to chain 20. If you're making it for an adult, chain 22. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. Once you've chained your bridge chains and the additional 20 for a child or 22 for an adult, you're going to make the second eye socket. So I have 2 chains in my bridge, so I'm going to count 1, 2 from the terminus of my last socket. So 1, 2, there's my third. If it's just 1, count 1 for a little face. If it's a bigger one you're doing, then make sure you count your 3. So count out the number of bridge chains you made. So in my case it's 2. Highlight the one very next to it, and that's what you're going to join your hook into. There we go. So now you've got both your eye sockets and your bridge. So socket 1, bridge, socket 2. And now we start to single crochet. You're going to single crochet, so no chaining, no nothing, we're just going to start single crocheting into your bridge stitches. So if you've got 2 here, you want to single crochet into each of those 2 stitches. If it's 3, all 3 of them. If it's just 1, then just do that 1. And once you've done the single crochets across your bridge, you're going to double crochet into your first eye socket. So you're not going to work the individual chains, you're actually going to work around it. So double crochet, remember, now you wrap once, go through the entire socket to pick up the yarn so that you bring up another stitch. So you've got 3 loops on your hook, wrap, go through the first set of 2, wrap, go through the second set of 2. That's your double crochet. And you're working around this socket loop that you made. So you're working around it, not through the individual chains. And the benefit of this is that you can sort of shuffle your double crochets around. So you can shuffle your stitches around to kind of change the shape of your eye socket. If you're making this for a child, you want to work 36 double crochets into that eye socket. If you're making this for an adult, you want to work 38 double crochets into this eye socket. So I'm going to let you work away, putting your 38 or 36 double crochets into your first eye socket. And remember, you can always sort of tug on them to move them back if you need more space, and just take your time. There is no rush, and you want to make sure that your stitches don't really overlap each other. So they've got their own space to sit inside that first eye socket. So 36 for a little mask, 38 for an adult mask. Once you've put your 36 double crochets for a child or 38 double crochets for an adult into your first eye socket, you should be back all the way around to the bridge. So now we're working the underside of the bridge, and I'm just going to try and get as close as I can here. So if you've got, remember the number of stitches you've got in your bridge. If it's 1 for a little face, 2 for a medium-sized face, or 3 for a larger face, you want to start to single crochet. So you're going to single crochet into the bottom of those bridge stitches. So if you had 2, you want to do 2. So single crochet into 2, or single crochet once into each of those 2 stitches. If it's just 1, you're only going to single crochet once, and if it's 3, you're going to single crochet 3 times. There we go. So there's my 2. That's across the bottom of my bridge. That brings me into my next eye socket, and it's the same thing. So if you worked 36 for a small socket on the first one, you're going to do the same thing in the other. If it was 38, you're going to work 38 over here. So remember, you're switching back to double crochet, and you're working around the loop. So you're kind of switching it up from single crochet to double crochet, and you're working around the loop. So you're working the whole circle as opposed to the individual chains. And I'm just trying to work over top of my tiny little tail here, but you guys can weave that in afterwards if you find that's easier. So go ahead and work those double crochets into the second eye socket. Remember, it's 36 for a little one or 38 for a big one. And I will see you once you've finished all your double crochets. All right, once you've completed all of the double crochets that you need to do, it's a good idea to put it down on the flat surface in front of you and flatten it. Kind of squish it around a little bit. Maybe shuffle some of those double crochets around. You can also do this at the end. You don't have to do it right now, but I kind of like to get a feel for where my mask is going. Okay, yep. So, if you are going to change colors, you're going to slip stitch into this stitch right here. So you're back to your bridge. Those are your 2 or 3 or 1 bridge stitches. So you're going to slip stitch into that first bridge stitch, like that. Snip your yarn and then fasten off. You can join your new color in that last double crochet that you made with a single crochet. That's if you're changing colors. If you're not changing colors, you're not going to join with a slip stitch. So if you're just going to continue like me, if you're making this solid colored one, like this one, so you're making the solid colored one, you don't join with a slip stitch, you're just going to keep on working stitches. So if you've changed your color, then you want to join with a single crochet, I should say, on the top of that last double crochet that you worked, and continue on with the rest of this tutorial. If you're continuing with the same color, then follow me. If you have a single bridge stitch, so if you're making this for a little person, you're going to skip it and work directly into the top of the next double crochet. If you have 2 bridge stitches, like me, you're going to single crochet both of them together. So you're going to pick up a loop in the first single crochet and pick up a loop in the next single crochet. If you're making a really large mask and you have 3 bridge stitches, pick up a loop in the last single crochet and you're going to single crochet them all together. So if you've got 2 bridge stitches, you single crochet them both together. If you have 3 bridge stitches, you just pick up the next loop and single crochet all 3 of them together. If you only have 1, you're skipping it entirely. So once we've closed off the stitches that make our bridge, you should be into your first eye socket again, and it's that first double crochet you made. Okay, we're going to start to single crochet because this is just sort of the finishing edge. We're going to single crochet into the next 12 if you're making it for an adult, 11 if you're making it for a child. So if it's the small mask you're going to single crochet into the next 11 stitches, and if it's the regular adult size, you're going to single crochet into the next 12. So you can count 1, 2, and make sure you're getting the top of the stitch. So you're running your needle right through that little space that the top of the 2 loops goes over. That's the part you want to do. 11 and 12. Okay, so once again, if it's a small mask, you've just single crocheted into the top of the first 11 stitches of your first eye socket. If it's a large mask, it's 12. So I've single crocheted into the first 12 stitches around my first eye socket. Now we're going to work the edge, so the big round corner. And to keep it from buckling, this is what we're going to do. We're going to chain 1, and then if it's a small mask, you're going to work the next 15 stitches by going single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. You're going to work every single stitch, but you're going to put a chain 1 in between each one. So if it's a little mask, go single crochet like this, single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. For the little mask, do that 15 times. For the big mask, do that 16 times. So you're going to work every stitch. You're going to single crochet, chain 1, single crochet, chain 1. For 15 stitches for a small mask, 16 stitches for a big mask. single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one. All right, it's going to look something like this. There should be just a little bit of a spiky staccato look happening around your mask. And if I lay it flat, you can sort of see what I'm talking about. So there's the first 11 or 12, depending on if you're making the small or large mask, in just straight single crochet. And then the next 15 or 16 in single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, all the way into each of those stitches. And that allows the mask to have some stretch, so it's not going to buckle. That's what we've done there. And now you should have 10 stitches left in your first eye socket. So 10 stitches, and you're going to work plain single crochet into each of them. So no more chaining, just regular single crochet into the last 10 stitches around the first eye socket. So single crochet into the last 10 stitches of that first eye socket. Okay, that brings us to the bottom of our bridge, and we're going to repeat what we did up here. So if you have a single stitch in your bridge, you're going to skip it entirely and single crochet directly into the top of the first double crochet of your second eye socket. If you've got two, you're going to single crochet the two of them together. If you have three, you're going to pick up a loop in the third stitch and you're going to single crochet all three of them together. So we just want to make that bridge sort of small again. Now we're going to repeat what we did over here, but in reverse, because we're working across the bottom. So the first thing you're going to do is single crochet into the first 10 stitches. So single crochet into the top of each of those first 10 stitches. 3, 10. So that's single crochet into the first 10 stitches. Remember, we're working across the bottom. And now we do the funky cornering around this sort of the side of your mask. So you're going to start by chaining one, and then remember, if you're making the little one, it's single crochet, chain one into the next 15, and if it's the large one, it's single crochet, chain one into the next 16. Single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, single crochet, chain one, and you do that into the next 15 or 16 stitches around the second eye socket of your mask. Okay, once you've finished single crochet, chain one into that 15 or 16 stitches, you should have either 11 for a small mask or 12 for a large mask stitches left in your second eye socket. And since we're working in reverse, now we're just going to single crochet the last 11 or 12 stitches in that second eye socket. So just straight single crochet, no more chaining one. We're done with all the fancy edge turning. So just single crochet into those last 11 or 12 stitches around your mask. All right, and once you are back to that bridge, and if it's just the one, it won't be there. If it's the two, it should be, you're just sort of the middle of your mask. So it's you're either double single crochet 2 or 3 together, or just a straight sort of little space will be there. All you want to do is just slip stitch. So whatever's there in the middle, just slip stitch into it, and you can snip your yarn and fasten off. You don't need much of a tail, just enough to create a decent enough little knot off. Give it a nice tight tug, and then you want to weave in your ends before you do anything else. So grab your yarn needle. I like to weave my needle through some of the stitches first. So I'm on the back side. So this is the front, and then I flip it over and I'm looking at the back. And I'm just going to thread up my little tail here. Okay, take a moment, put your mask down and flatten it out. You can pull the top, so lay your hands on it and let the heat of your hands, and maybe even a little bit of the sweat of them, just sort of almost like a a quick block technique. You sort of put your hands on it and flatten it out, and you can pull the middle bottom up. You can sort of put your thumb in there and kind of create a little bit of a, well, basically a space for your nose, or for the little nose that's going to be in that mask. That is how you're going to look at your mask. So it should flatten out. And another nice reason for doing these extra double crochets into the into this loop as opposed to into each stitch is that it gives it play. So you can sort of shuffle these stitches around, and you can put more of the stitches sort of out here. You can sort of pull them up your corners and make it look a little kind of cat-like. Basically, you can mold this a little more. This has got sort of some moldability to it. And once you put it on your face, you can kind of flatten it against your face the same way you're flattening it against this flat surface. So it's got some flexibility, and that's important in a mask. And now, all we need to do is put on these ties. And I've done a double tie. So I've done a pull from two different corners so that it pulls evenly across a larger space on the mask. That way you're not going to have like one little tiny piece pulling. You want to have it pull evenly from two little places. It kind of disperses the pull across two places and makes it lie a bit better across your face. So this is how we're going to do that. Grab your yarn and your hook. We're going to make a slip knot. Sure it moves around on your hook. And then you're going to identify sort of the corner edge. So once you finish sort of manipulating your mask and it's sort of the shape that you want it to be at, you're going to identify sort of the edge, the corner edge, the top corner, kind of like I did here. And I think that's good for me. It might be one of the areas that you started doing the single crochet chain one. So I'm just going to stick my hook from the back side to the front through a space. It doesn't have to be necessarily a chain or a single crochet. Just stick it in what you feel is the corner. And you're going to attach your yarn with a slip stitch. So grab the yarn and pull it back through everything. There, attached with a slip stitch. Now we're going to chain 7. And this is the same for a small mask or a large mask. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And now we're going to triple treble crochet. Yes, I said triple treble crochet. Don't be alarmed, this is actually really fun. So if you're looking at the edge of your mask and you see where there's a little beep, beep, beep where you were chaining one, I like to count those. 1, 2, 3, 4. That, I feel, is enough space between what's going to be tie number 1 and tie number 2. So I count beep, 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 4 little sort of pokey, towery things. And then I just aim for the next spot to stick my hook in. But before we do that, we are going to wrap our yarn around our hook 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. The other way to look at it is this. Wrap once for a double crochet, wrap twice for a treble crochet, wrap 3 times for a double treble crochet, wrap 4 times for a triple treble crochet. Oh my goodness, does that not look exciting? So 4 wraps of the yarn, and then where you've identified that little space to stick your hook in, and once again it doesn't have to be a stitch or a chain one, it can be either or, you're going to pick up a loop. So you've got a crazy number of loops on your hook. You've got 2, 4, 6 loops on your hook. Looks like that. And now we're just going to count them off like we do for any of these other stitches. Wrap, pull through the first set of loops. So 2 loops. Wrap, pull through the next 2 loops. Wrap, pull through the next 2 loops. Oops. It's alright, I can do it. Wrap, pull pull through the next 2 loops, wrap, pull through the last 2 loops. You should do this, it'll be 5 times. So you'll wrap and pull back through 2 loops 5 times. It'll look something like that. And yes, that is an infinite stitch. You could wrap your yarn around your hook a dozen times and wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2, wrap, pull through 2. It's just infinite. You can make this kind of thing as tall as you want. So that is your double sort of attach point for your mask tie. And now you're just going to chain. You're going to chain between 50 and 60 depending on the head size. So I did 55 for me. You can do 50 for a little person, 60 for a much bigger head, and that should give you enough tie size to wrap and evenly tie up your mask with at least enough to create a bow or at least a really good knot. And that is how you make the tie. And once you're done crocheting all of your chains, you can fasten off and do the same thing on the other side. And I'll show you that as soon as I'm finished chaining all these. Okay, so there is our chain 7 and then our triple treble crochet. And then I've chained 55 because I like 55. Then you just snip your yarn, pull it through the last loop on your hook, and you fastened off. Now we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we're going to start with a slip knot. And we're going to identify the best corner that's opposite the first tie. So I don't like to count because this is sort of an organic thing. I just like to eyeball it, and I'd say that that's the best spot for it right there. So I'm going to go from back to front through that space, and I guess it's a chain 1. There it is. And then I'm going to attach with a slip stitch. So I've attached with a slip stitch. I'm going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. Ta-da! And then I'm going to make sure I'm looking at this evenly. I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Count my little 4 bumps and pick the space next to the last bump. And I'm going to triple treble crochet into that space. So there's bump, 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 and then somewhere around here. This doesn't have to be perfect because it's just a sort of an amount of space you're creating. So you don't have to have the same number of stitches in between each set. If you want to count, that's completely up to you, but just eyeballing it is usually enough in this sort of situation. And then we're going to triple treble crochet. So remember, it's wrap once, wrap twice, wrap 3 times, wrap 4 times. So it looks like you've got 5 loops on your hook. Stick your hook through that next space, grab your yarn and pull up another loop. So you should have 6 loops on your hook. Woohoo! Let's see how neatly I can do this one. Wrap, pull through the first set. Wrap, go through the next 2. Oof, I did it again. This is tricky. Come back here. And pull, there. Wrap, go through the next 2. Wrap, go through the next 2. And wrap and go through the last 2. If you keep your thumb and forefinger close to your hook when you're working that stitch, you won't lose it quite like I do. But if you did, don't worry, you can pull the whole thing out and just try it again. Or if you can see where you kind of need to grab your stitch, you can do what I did and catch it. So like I say, always be patient. There's no need to speed. And now all you have to do is chain that last set. It's either 50, 55, or 60, whichever you selected. And once you're done that, snip your yarn, fasten off, and you want to weave in all of your short tails. So these little things, just tug them into your stitches back and forth, and they'll disappear completely. And there you have it. You can just flatten it out again, or better yet, try it on your face. Tie it on and see what you think. That is a nice, simple mask. You can do it in multiple colors, like this one, or one color like this one, or you can super glam it up. So this is great if you're going out as a Skullette or a Monster High doll or even a Sugar Skull. This is a really cool way to dress up your mask. You could also make this look kind of like a masquerade mask. I've just made some very simple cross-stitch X's across the top. I sewed the part of a necklace I used to have into the middle. I put some beads across the bottom, and I made a couple of my little 6-petaled flowers using a small hook, a size 2 hook, or 1.75 or 2.0 millimeter hook, with crochet cotton thread, so that floss that I showed you at the beginning. And I'm going to give you guys a nice big screenshot, a nice close-up screenshot of this at the end of the video, and you can pause on it and copy it if you like the design and you want to give it a try. Otherwise, I invite you to go crazy. Use this sort of pattern as your base and then decorate it as you see fit. Whatever matches your costume is exactly what you need to put on it. So there you go. A very easy superhero or simple costume mask. Have fun. And that is how you make a mask. Best made out of cotton, but you can use any other scraps you might have rolling around. But just remember, for extended wear, you want to have it in cotton or bamboo because those are nicest on the skin. And face skin is kind of on the sensitive side. So that was today's tutorial. I hope you had fun. I hope you feel like sharing your pictures with me. You know I love it when you do. And if you have a YouTube account, you have a Google Plus account too. So you can post your pictures to me there and just tag me at Jayda InStitches and I will be sure to see them. Always check out our website at jaydainstitches.com for more fun, handy tips, tricks, some free patterns, you know, all that cool stuff. And don't forget to have a safe and happy week. So that is it for this week, everybody. I hope you have a nice one. I hope you have fun making your masks, and we will see you again soon. I have to go. I am on my way to a punk rock masquerade ball. How cool is that? I will see you later.